In this next video, I'm going to go through the rear half of the guitar neck, focusing primarily on the heel transition. I'm going to kind of try to go fast just for the sake of hitting the 15-minute mark so I can upload this single video to YouTube. So for myself, I personally like working without the layout grid on. I feel like it clutters the screen and it's just distracting. Let's go ahead and turn the strings off. We're not going to need those immediately. The extension I have no use for right now, so let's turn that off. And then we're going to go back to earlier I said that the fret lines reference were going to be important. Let's turn those back on. And let's make sure we activate this component for the fretboard. That way any bodies or sketches we make will be included within this component. So let's go to the bottom side and let's select this bottom face. And we're going to go to the split face tool up here in the solid toolbar. Yeah, we got the faces to split. And let's select this first fret. You'll see that big red ring that's going to cut all the way through. Hit OK. Now you see you have two different faces down here. Let's do the same thing for the 12th fret. Let's turn this back on. Let's go ahead and turn the fret markers on. I know this is the 12th fret because I have the gap between these two frets as well as these two frets. Again, split face, select 12th fret. All right, we can turn that back off. We can turn this back off. You'll notice in on a lot of websites when you look at guitar necks, specifically electric guitar necks, they give you the profile for the neck, and typically they list the 1st fret and the 12th fret. And what you'll realize is most of the times the 1st fret is when you start to taper in and transition into the headstock. Same with the 12th fret is when you start to transition into the heel. So this chunk right here is usually going to be your most straight part of the guitar neck. So let's select this face as well as this face. And we're going to hit the E button for an extrusion. And we're going to go, if you look at the distance or the direction of the arrow, we're going to hit 1. And that's going to give us 1 inch. But when we created the fretboard, I selected a height of an 1/8 of an inch, and I want the overall thickness of the fretboard to be, or thickness of the guitar neck to be 1 inch. So let's go ahead and take that distance back out of it. So 1 inch minus 1/8 of an inch, and hit enter. Now you see we have an extrusion of 0.875 inches for an overall height of 1 inch. Alright, so let's go ahead and click this face, right click it, and you can hit sketch, create sketch. And what that's going to do is that's going to create a sketch plane on that face, which is going to be handy so when we draw a curve we can apply the handles and we can apply constraints to it easily. So I have it up here, the fit point spline. If you don't, go down to your spline under the create and hit fit point spline. If you want to add that to your toolbar, select these 3 buttons or these 3 little dots and hit pin to toolbar. So what we want to do is get a nice under view of everything. We can actually turn the snap grid off. We're not going to need it. Hit fit spline. Let's select, since this distance is really close, you want to make sure you're actually hitting this inside interior corner. And we're going to go to this midpoint. You're going to notice it's a midpoint because you get that green triangle or delta. And then you're going to go to this end. You're going to know it's going to snap. You're going to kind of feel, quote unquote, it snap. And then you're going to get that green square. Hit enter. All right. You'll notice that the spline's green. So we want to delete any coincidence. And then we want to delete that. And then let's go to hit right click move on the center point. And when you selected the right one when you see your tangent hand or your spline handles here. And let's move this down -0.085. And again, we want to add the distance back that we applied to the fretboard earlier. So that's going to be 1.25 plus. That means from this point to the top of the curve is going to be your true 0.85 inches. And then let's select the curve and go up here to your constraints. Select this handle. What we want to do is we want to use this horizontal and vertical. What that's going to do is it's going to either favor going up and down or side to side, whatever it's leaning more toward. And let's do that for all three of our handles. So now you know this is curving straight up, this is curving straight up. This is almost the same as using a tangent handle because this is straight. And then you'll notice that this handle and this handle aren't the same length, which means this curve's not going to be equal. So let's go ahead and click the small handle and then the large handle. And now you'll look at your, you'll see that they're now even. You hit enter. Are they even? All right, so that was wrong. Let's go back and level that guy out. I think what's going on is these coincidences can really get annoying when you don't want them. So let's try that again. So if you ever feel like your spline isn't behaving the way you want it to, you either click your spline point or your actual curve and just delete the coincidences. And then let's go and try the equal constraint again, selecting the small one first and then the large one. All right, so now they're both small. You got a nice even curve there. We'll hit stop sketch. Let's go over here and let's name this sketch. And we'll do the same thing over here. Select that face, which is at the first fret position, and we'll hit create sketch. Again, we're gonna want a nice underneath view. Let's get that fit point spline. And same thing, make sure we get that interior corner to the midpoint to the opposite interior corner. Hit enter. Again, it's green, so let's go ahead and delete the coincidence. Let's delete this. And let's move this down. For the first fret, we want the profile to be, instead of 0.85, we want it at 0.8. So negative 0.8. Again, adding back the material of the fretboard, plus 1/8 of an inch. And then same thing again, select the spline, delete any coincidence. Let's go up here to your horizontal and vertical constraint and select all three. Again, let's make them equal. Hit enter. Stop sketch. And this is our first fret. Now, since our two fret sketches are on actual bodies, if we select it, we can get their profile here. And because of this, we can use the solids workspace to do a loft. And if you loft between the two, let's do operation new body. Okay. So now we have the actual straight part of our neck between the 1st and the 12th fret. And if you hit the A, this is just personal preference. Again, I hate this silver material. Let's go down to, I prefer this white wax. It's light, it's easy to see, gives a nice highlight. And this is just temporary. So let's go to this 12th fret position and select this face and hit Q. And what we're going to do is we're going to offset this back. Maybe. Face, Q. All right. And if you look at a guitar neck, you'll notice that the transition for the heel starts around the 12th fret and it ends kind of between the 15th and the 16th. So we'll go, let's try negative 3.1 to 5. And this is really kind of personal preference depending on how deep you're going to have this in your actual body or where you want this transition to start or end. To me, this just seems like a good spot to look pretty common. Hit enter, and now we have, all right, yeah, so now we have the space for our transition. So what we want to do as well is, let's go ahead and get this guy out of the way. Let's push him back about, oh, too much. Let's just go about 1 inch. Now let's go to back to your solids, combine. We're going to combine this, the fretboard with our neck. Join All right. So now this is all one body. And let's go to our Surface tab. And let's delete all these interior faces. Now you can see inside the actual model. And what we want to do here is we want to select this face. Again, create a sketch on that plane. And very much like we did the 2 frets, let's create a spline with the edge point, the center point, and the opposing edge point. And what we're going to do is we're going to create the, let's delete that, create a nice round surface area for the transition from the body to the neck. So let's move this about an inch out. Select enter. Again, let's select the curve, delete any coincidences. And this time for the tangent handles, since if you look at the bottom, this isn't straight. So if we were to do the horizontal, vertical, you would see that this doesn't match up because this is actually at a taper. So let's undo that. And what we want to do is let's add tangency. And what tangency does is it ensures a smooth transition between 2 surfaces or 2 splines. So it just calculates what this, let's see, takes that handle. Okay, if it's not working, delete coincidence. All right, let's try this again. Well, this is embarrassing. There we go. There's 1, 2. All right. Now if we zoom in again, you'll see that your handle is now in line with the body. And then let's go ahead and make this one horizontal and vertical just for safety. All right, nice and straight. Hit enter. And for this, let's give this a nice little point by dragging that handle in. So right click it, hit move copy, and do the same for the other side. And what that does is that's just going to give this a not such a standard boring curve. It's going to give us kind of a little of a point. And then let's go ahead and select and highlight this profile face, hit patch, and hit enter. And now that curve is now a patched face, and we're going to add that by stitching. We're going to add this to this. And now you see that line's gone, which means this is all one face. Now, let's see. All right, so now we got to somehow fill this with that. Easy. Those strings from earlier, let's turn those back on. You can see them here. Now what we want to do is we want to create a sketch. And what we want to do is we want to create a sketch on the plane we want to project against, as if you were to drop noodles on the ground. If that makes sense, probably not. All right. So now that we've created a sketch, we're inside the sketch. Let's go to Create, Project Include, Project to Surface. And what we want to do is we want to project these lines on top of your neck and then your heel. Let's select the curves. And then we don't want a projection link. We want these to be independent sketches on their own. And then we want to project type along vector. And what that means is it's going to project straight down onto those 2 surfaces. So we'll select this bottom plane again, and you'll see how you have these red equidistant lines projecting straight, which is exactly what we want. So hit OK, and let's hit Stop Sketch. Actually, let's not hit Stop Sketch. Click on this, right click, and let's go back to Edit Sketch. So what we want to do now is we essentially we want to connect these points with tangent curves again. So let's go back to fit spline point, select it. Let's start with this interior point. The white square lets you know that you're right in there in that corner. And let's go down to this one, hit enter. And if you right click, the top of your marking menu is going to give you the last tool or function you use. So let's right click, go up to repeat fit spline, connect this point to this point, hit enter, repeat for each one of these. Again, make sure you're actually selecting the right corner. All right, so now we have our splines. Let's go through and make these all tangent with the neck. So go up to your constraints, hit tangent. Again, if this isn't right here, if you go down into your actual drop-down menu, you can find it. And then we'll select this line to this line, this line to this line, so on and so forth. And you'll know your surfaces, your splines are tangent when you get this little icon down here. So hit OK. You can right click, hit OK. You can hit enter. And now we have our curves. And what we want to do with these curves is we want to go up to surface, create loft. Again, mine's up here in my panel. And we want to, starting from either end, you want to work end to end. The end you start doesn't matter, but you do need to go from one to the other. You can't just pick this one and then that one and come back. So 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so those are our profiles. We have 8 profiles. And now we want to go down to our rails. And we're going to select this curve where our 12th fret would be for our rail. And then we're going to go up here to that surface we made earlier and select that. And what that's going to do is that's going to fit all of these onto that curve and onto this curve. Let's hit OK. And then let's go ahead and stitch the neck to this transition. You'll know when it's a green line, that means it's going to be able to weld and it's going to properly execute. So hit OK. And then we have these holes here, and this is a perfect time for a patch. So let's select this interior triangle, hit OK. Right click, repeat patch, OK. And then again, let's stitch all these together. Let's turn the strings off. All right, and there you go. This is the the heel transition. Let's see, let's double check the curvature. If we go up here to inspect zebra analysis, change this to horizontal and high quality. What you want to see here is you want to see all these lines kind of grow away from the center point. If you see these come in here, that means you have a dip, and we don't want that. We want our material to be nice and convex, not concave. And if you just kind of tumble around, you'll watch the stripes, and this will show you another view of the surface. Let's hit escape. We can even hit Control 4 to get rid of our line display, and you can kind of tumble around and see the smooth transition. Hit Control 6 to get back to your lines. And that's essentially how to do the rear heel. Again, this can be easily edited to your own desire depending on the curves you draw. But essentially the process is the same. So in the next video, I'm going to go through, I'm going to show you how to do the neck transition into the headstock, which will be a different approach than this one. And real quick, just to make this pretty, if we go to solid and select these 3 faces, maybe, there we go, hit delete, those will be gone just for aesthetic. All right, see you in the next one.